When was a time someone got their ass kicked because they thought someone was an easy target? We had a boy join our school when we were in middle school. He had gone to school one town over, and he didn't know anyone. He immediately started picking on girls, and not just picking on them. We're talking pushing, tripping, shoulder checking them in the hallways, for no reason that we could discern. He hated girls that he thought weren't hot and was openly trying to hurt some of the smaller girls in our classes. He specifically picked on the girls who were short, small, and not particularly conventionally attractive. Worse, he seemed to think that this made him cool and it was his shtick. He would say stuff like, "Look at this ugly bitch and you're so gross. You should feel lucky someone even touched you at all." He often did this in crowded places and around the popular kids, hoping to be accepted by them. Well, one day he decided to slam a thin, lanky girl into one of the lockers. A lot of people saw it, and she seemed like she might actually have been hurt. Little did he know, that girl had 3 enormous high school brothers who had muscles for days from working on their parents' farm. After school, while people were boarding the school buses, they came up, introduced themselves, then threw him around like a rag doll in front of the entire school. The brothers were suspended, but that kid kept a much lower profile for the rest of his time at our school. Although he was still a rage-filled dickwad, he was quieter about it. Kid must have been going through something at home. That sucks, but he deserved it. I mean, maybe, but that's for the adults to figure out, not the children. You don't get carte blanche just because you're having a bad time. I never said that he got a free pass. He deserved what he got. It's not his fault, but it was his responsibility to not act like that anyways, no matter what he was going through. There's a video floating around of a dude trying to rob a 7-Eleven clerk and was gonna throw a haymaker at him, and the little dude just up and ducked his tee up before he even drew his wild punch all the way back. This one https://www.youtube.com/watch?OYU1REZSIDQ. Love the guy who just strolls over with a Slurpee in his hand trying to see what was up. The time 2 potential robbers tried to rob an elderly man who, unbeknownst to them, was former heavyweight champion boxer Jack Dempsey, and both of them ended up getting knocked out. Story. Here, https://www.boxingmonthly.com/stories/criminal-stupidity-the-day-to-rob-jack-dempsey/ Watch this 60-year-old lay out cold 3 teenagers in one go. They pushed over his I'm assuming wife and he just leveled all of them. They couldn't have been any older than 16, but I was like, my dude, you're a FKN legend. Was probably 10 at the time, so this was back in the early 2000s. Best justice served I've ever seen. Teenage boys in groups can become ducking idiotic and think they're invincible. I know because I used to be one. Just the other day I was walking past a couple of small, skinny high school kids, couldn't have been over 15. The t-shirt I was wearing a little long, and as soon as I passed one snickered, "Nice skirt." I'm a big dude in my early 40s and could have snapped these kids like a twig, but obviously I let it slide. There are a number of homeless dudes on this same street at any given time who have nothing to lose and wouldn't let it slide. Twist, the kid was actually jealous that you found such a rad shirt, and this was mixed with his sudden sexual feelings for you that he went full awkward and will later post on Tifu by insulting this guy with a cool shirt who I wanted to bang. That's the thing with 60. It's an old sounding number to youth, but if that person has stayed active their whole life, there's a solid chance that person is in the best shape they've ever been in. If not, at least comparable, average, if the same activity is maintained. Admittedly, it usually isn't. Someone who is 60 is about 16% weaker than their late 30s or 40-year-old self. Average is around 0.8% strength loss per year, 8% per decade after 40. But if you're talking to an active person, that old guy still has a serious chance of doing major damage, not to mention an extra few decades of experience and practice. This time, https://youtube/0e3zft49tga, when a dude spit at a train passenger as doors were closing. Seemed like an easy target, as he would have never guessed the passenger would be able to get out. Edit. YouTube video shows some violence as the passenger beats that dude up. Oh my ducking god, you can hear the ducking impacts. Oh, and that kick at the end, goddamn. When the Russians thought Finland would be easy to conquer, the Russians got destroyed. But that is mainly cause Stalin executed all his generals that had any battlefield experience. Edit. This was during World War II. It didn't hurt Finland to have an absolute unit of a sniper, appropriately nicknamed the White Death, absolutely demolishing the leadership and moral of the Reds either. Personal hero of mine. I love that man. Dude got artillery called in on him and then got shot in the face, and just kept fighting. He is an absolute legend. Died at the ripe old age of 96 with an estimated 500-man kill count. Imagine if the end from Metal Gear Solid was based off him. He didn't make Finns win the war. They didn't even win. They lost territory and managed only through scorched earth or whatever. One man was completely feared by an entire army. I heard he was only 96% feared by 97.3% of the army. Yeah, but he killed 100% of the 500 men he killed. The Battle of Salamis. https://wikipedia.org Wiki Battle of Salamis. People know about the Battle of Thermopylae because of the legend of the 300. IRL it was more like 7,000 to start, with the heroic last stand with a tiny force only after Leonidas learned he had been betrayed and the Persians were going to get behind him. But the Greeks did technically lose that one. But in the same war, the Greeks actually won a decisive naval battle against Persia, similarly against overwhelming odds that were neutralized by terrain that narrowed the battlefield. And also because the Persians apparently thought that the massively outnumbered Greek fleet was about to collapse and scatter. The result was somewhat akin to a 300-pound bully chasing a 100-pound weakling into a narrow, cluttered space, getting stuck, and only then realizing that the 100-pound guy who had been running and crying a moment ago is standing there smiling and holding a baseball bat. Themistocles was the ducking man. Spent all of Athens' gold on a shty fleet that none of them really knew how to sail, and everyone looked at him like why you do this. Then they straight up hid their troops on their boats, and crammed the Persian fleet in so hard that their ships were hull to hull, so the Greek ground forces could literally just walk from boat to boat slaughtering the Phohonician sailors. They turned a naval battle into a land one and took away the Persians' greatest advantage. I wrote a paper in college proposing that Salamis was the single most important battle in Western history, and defined the trajectory that Western European cultures developed for the next 2 millennia. I got laid out by an 86-year-old Marine. Story time, Cherins. Gather round. I didn't think he was an easy target. I was on shift when I got toned out to him. He was hypoglycemic and had an altered mental status. His wife was panicking. It took 4 firefighters to restrain him so I could begin to get a line in. But before I could get his D50 going, he got free and straight punched me in the face, bloodying my nose and lip and making me see stars momentarily, like something out of a damn Looney Tunes cartoon. I got back on him after the shot, pumped some D50 into him, raising his sugar from the 40s into the low 130s. He came back around in minutes. We gave him a sandwich and he insisted on apologizing profusely, which we accepted gracefully, but insisted it was not necessary. The guys at the station thought it was duckin' hilarious because he offered us cookies before we left. Honestly, he was a sweet guy once he had his bearings back. Reminds me of my Phil. He's not a Marine, but a former martial arts instructor. If he has a seizure, the EMTs have to be warned about it because he will try to break someone's arm. He almost broke my sister-in-law's wrist when she tried to move him. It's not my Phil's fault. The seizures make him scared and confused. It's relevant since, while we didn't think he was an easy target, we certainly underestimated him. But downvote away. Upvotes don't matter to me. Fuck that guy. That's a good story. I'm a Marine and I know some retired old cats I'd even be unsure about squaring up with. BC I'd prob get my ass beat. Once a Marine always a former Marine who used to work event security, working a ball game and get a call about some drunk dude making a scene at one of the concession stands. That game I was roving with a girl, we were both 19 but I was a bulky as duck dude. She looked like she just stepped out of a Disney princess movie. We get to the stand and it was actually 2 dudes. I get one wrapped up pretty quick but the other guy thought he could just bum rush her and get away. What he didn't know is she had 4 brothers and grew up in a MMA house. Dude went from charging her to being on the ground in zip ties so fast I don't even think he felt the concrete when he bounced off it. The look on his face was just confusion. He had no idea how he ended up on the ground. Probably the video where a group of chicks in New York making fun of a tall lanky dude and she hit him only to have the soul slapped out of her. I call this little dog syndrome. Chihuahuas and other small breeds get snappy and aggressive partly because on some level, they know they're little, but because they're little, pet owners overindulge them. The result is a worthless littleish old dog who gets laughed at even when it draws blood. Bullying is about targeting someone who can't or won't fight back. Most of the time, it's someone bigger and stronger tormenting the physically weak. Obviously, it's wrong and shouldn't be tolerated. Little dog syndrome is when a weaker person goes after a stronger person feeling safe in the belief that the stronger person won't violate the social contract and fight back. It's not just women who do this. Weaker men and children do the same thing. Bullying is about pushing and violating any boundaries. Does that mean a man should be able to hit a woman just because she's being an asshole? Or that an adult should be able to hit a child because they're being an asshole? The point is, don't put your hands on people who aren't ducking with you. Because at some point, you might get put in your place. Quiet kid at school would get bullied but never cared. School bully decided to up his game and said something about the kid's dad. First time he spoke he died. Please don't talk about him. Bully grins and you know something is coming. Says something along the lines of him dying from AIDS cause he was gay and took it up the bum. As the bully turns to look at everyone's reaction, the quiet kid got up and swung his chair at the bully, hit the kid so hard in the head he showed up a month later with head shaved and stitches. This was back in '06 and the kid got off with a year's detention and therapy. Bully never opened his mouth again because half the school made fun of his scar and other half said they would share him too. Violence isn't always the answer unless you ask the right question. Hitler, target, the world. When we were little, boy at Chuck E. Cheese was picking on my sister. She broke his nose. We never went back. Saw a news story a while back about a purse snatcher trying to grab and run and the victim was a female MMA fighter who chased him down and beat the shit out of him. NHS watched a flaming gay dude take out two Marines like they weren't even there. Krav Maga. Gay men are tough. They duck men. Paraphrased from Steve Hughes' stand-up routine. USA v North Vietnam. So, I used to stay in this one town where a whole ass gang just had a big house for all of them in the middle of town. It was like a communal living type thing. Everyone slept in the basement. They ate on the ground floor and they sparred in the backyard. So enter me. Just a random nobody who wandered into town because someone else needed me to tell some other, more powerful and connected guy to protect them. But anyway, I try to join said gang. I get told to talk to the leader, and I go and he's venting about some voodoo curse type shit to his younger member and I'm awkward as duck. But I ask, can I join you guys? Big homie said I got potential, but the lieutenant, little big homie number 1, said he don't know me from a hole in the wall, so he takes me to the backyard to prove myself. He doesn't make me fight him, per se, but he made me just swing. He thought I was okay, and I thought I was in the clear, but him and his circle, all the little big homies, just made me run errands and shit, and I was the butt of jokes. Even the cops made fun of me. Fast forward a week or two, and one of the little big homies, the one who deals with new members, told me I was ready. I ask what I'm supposed to do, and he tells me someone robbed big homie's predecessor of a piece. That little big homie, must have been number 3, sent me and little big homie number 2 to go get it back. So boom, I go with LBH number 2 to some weird ass cave in the middle of the woods, and we go inside. Boy, the smell was like someone removed their Crocs, but it seemed like someone had been there already. Little big homie number 2 says tread lightly, so I do. There's some crackheads and homeless people who try to fight, but we fold their asses, you know what I mean. But then he and I walk into a big room, and we don't know where to go. We wander around. I go into line a side room and pull a lever. Boom, in 1 second, there was a metal gate crash down in between the side room and the big room. Little big homie number 2 is like, deaders, look what you just did. SMH, I might get you out of there, just gimme a sec. But then, just like that, 6, not 4, not 5, but 6, ducking rival gang members pop out of the next room. They got big weapons and I thought they were gonna kill little big homie number 2. They even say about me he wears them colors. He dies, but now this is where it gets crazy. One of them says killing you will make for an excellent story and little big homie number 2 says too bad none of you will be alive to tell it and is2g this MF turns into a whole ass werewolf, goes berserk, and just bodies all of them. 1. I swear, just have died from being frightened. Anyway, after that, me and Farkas cleared the rest of that dungeon. I got the piece of Worthrid back, and I became an official member of the Companions. Hey, you're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right? Walked right into that Imperial ambush, same as us, and that thief over there. When I was in 6th grade I beat the crap out of this kid in 5th grade. He thought he could take me for sure. For months he would tease me, make small punches and smacks, kick me in the butt. Truth was, I am just not confrontational, and I simply didn't want to escalate things. But that didn't mean I wasn't bigger and stronger than him. He thought my timidity would be his advantage, until he pushed me too far and I let the rage loose on him. Man, that felt good. It wasn't even a fair fight. The Brits thought they'd stick it to a bunch of farmers this one time,